He used to say age meant nothing, that love was beyond numbers, that I was the one he'd been chasing since he was a boy. But once I crossed 30, he said I felt dirty. Then he slept with a student who looked just like me at 20. Love turns into contempt fast when you're tired, older, and no longer his fantasy. And when he handed me a hot pot to bribe my forgiveness, I handed him divorce papers instead, because I know how to love and I also know how to lose. It was a Tuesday. Nothing dramatic, no thunderstorm, no ominous signs in the sky, just me standing at the kitchen sink, rinsing out his favorite mug when my phone buzzed with his name, Leo. That little heart had been there since we first started dating. I never changed it. I think part of me liked pretending we were still those people, the ones who stayed up till 2 a.m. talking about art, who danced barefoot in the hallway, who thought a 5-year age gap was romantic, not reckless. I answered on instinct. His voice was rushed. "Hey babe, I left my phone at home. Can you check if my client texted should be a 917 number?" I didn't hesitate. I wish I had. His phone was still warm on the charger. I picked it up, swiped up, typed in the passcode he never bothered to change. There was no message from a client. There was a girl. A text sent 2 hours ago. "Last night still smells like you." And beneath it, the real punch, $199 transfer via Venmo. Caption lunch and kisses. My hands went cold. My first thought wasn't anger, it was math. How long had this been going on? How much money had he sent? How many lunches and kisses had I paid for without knowing I didn't confront him? Not then. I put his phone back exactly where I found it. I finished rinsing his mug. I wiped down the counter, and I sat on the couch for the next 4 hours replaying the last 4 years of our marriage like a film reel from hell. The late nights, the sudden gym obsession, the perfume on his jackets that must have been from Naomi hugging him too hard, the way he started calling me ma'am when I scolded him jokingly, the way he stopped kissing me on the forehead. I saw it all. Not for the first time, but for the first time without lying to myself. When Leo came home that night, he kissed me on the cheek and dropped a bag on the counter. "I got hot pot," he said brightly. Like that solved something. "Your favorite." I smiled. "Thanks." "Everything okay?" he asked, peeking into the pot as if the steam could answer for me. "Yeah," I said. "Just a long day." He nodded, satisfied. I watched him eat, watched his jaw move, the way he slurped noodles, the way he hummed when the broth hit right. And I realized something chilling. He thought I didn't know. He thought I wouldn't want to know. He thought my silence was loyalty. He mistook it for weakness. That night, I lay beside him in bed while he snored. One arm flopped over my stomach like a tired child. I stared at the ceiling and made a promise to myself I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't try to outshine a younger version of me. But I would leave, and he'd never see it coming. I found her Instagram by accident. I didn't search for her name. I didn't even know it yet. But the algorithm did. The algorithm always knows. She popped up on my Explore page, big brown eyes, long black hair, body like mine. 10 years ago, face like mine, when I still thought love was something you could earn if you stayed beautiful enough. Her username was something cute, lowercase with an emoji at the end, a small red heart. Her bio said NYU Scorpio, iced matcha addict. And in her most recent post, she stood outside a cafe I'd been to with Leo last winter wearing his jacket. It still had the stain on the sleeve. The caption read, "Every version of me he touches, he keeps." I stared at it for a long time. I wasn't angry at her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. She was just a mirror. of who I used to be, of what I used to think was power, being wanted, being chosen, being young. What made me sick wasn't that he wanted her. It's that he wanted me until I turned into someone he didn't want anymore. When I finally got her name Emily Tao, it was from a Venmo transaction Leo forgot to make private, $5,000. Caption, just in case you need rent covered. Love you. I didn't cry. I printed it. Over the next few days, I built a folder, a private one, screenshots, audio clips, bank transfers, hotel receipts. I wasn't stalking, I was preparing. Emily had a pattern she liked to document. Every cocktail, every bouquet, every dimly lit restaurant. She even filmed herself laughing in a bubble bath, legs draped over the edge, gold bracelet shining under candlelight. Leo had bought me that bracelet last Christmas. Said it reminded him of the first night we met. Turns out it reminded him of who he met next. Still, I didn't say a word. We went about our days like any married couple in slow collapse. He kissed me goodbye every morning. I smiled and said, "Drive safe." He came home later and later. I told him I'd already eaten. He bought me new bath oils. I thanked him. He suggested a weekend away. I agreed. All while the folder grew thicker. All while the woman in the mirror started looking less like his wife and more like someone he'd regret underestimating. One night, I watched one of Emily's story highlights. She was wearing Leo's hoodie, oversized navy blue, the one with the stitched initials. She giggled into the camera, cheeks glowing, and whispered, "He says I remind him of someone, but I'm better." I looked at the screen, and for the first time I smiled, because she wasn't better. She was bait, and he'd fallen for it just like I had all those years ago. I didn't hate her, I pitied her, because one day she'd hit 32, and when she did, he'd call her dirty and go looking for someone who looked like her at 20. I didn't need a detective. I just needed Wi-Fi and the patience of a woman who'd finally stopped making excuses for a man. Leo was careless in the way only the truly entitled can be. He assumed his charm made him invisible, that his late nights, his vague explanations, his client meetings would blur into something I'd never question. But I was done being polite. I started with the bank. We shared a joint account. His idea back when what's mine is yours still sounded romantic. Now it was a gold mine. $199, $450, $2,300. Transfers labeled vaguely as gift misc, support. He didn't even try to hide the pattern. Twice a month, almost like rent. I printed every receipt, not just from the last month, but going back 6. That's how far the betrayal stretched, half a year of lies. Half a year of funding someone else's youth with my work, my groceries, my half of the rent. The hotel bills were next. He used his corporate card for the first 2. Rookie mistake. The address popped up in a monthly business statement. But the rest, he got smarter. Prepaid cards, walk-in bookings, name slightly misspelled. Still, he wasn't careful enough. One front desk manager remembered them young couple, lots of giggling. She wore his hoodie. I nodded, smiled. "Thank you." Then I walked out and added her quote to the folder. I synced his phone to my laptop. He'd done it before, back when he wanted me to help set up his calendar. He forgot to unsync it, which meant every text, every photo, every emoji-riddled message from Emily came straight to my screen in real time. I didn't scroll obsessively. I just flagged the ones that mattered, like the selfie of her in our bed, or the audio message, "Can't wait till your wife's out of the picture," or the voice memo Leo sent after Soon Babe. "I just need a clean break. She's not doing great right now." I played that one back twice. Not doing great because I still cooked. Still smiled, still covered for him when his parents called funny how silence gets repackaged as weakness in the mouths of cowards. The final piece came from our car. I didn't know the dash cam had audio. He installed it after a parking lot hit and run said it was just in case. Just in case turned into gold. One afternoon while I was visiting my sister, he picked Emily up. Forgot to disable recording. I downloaded the file. They talked like I was already gone. She asked, does she know he laughed? Even if she suspects she won't do anything. She's too tired, too old to start over. That's when I stopped breathing, then started again, and smiled. Because now I wasn't just leaving, I was documenting everything. I backed up the folder, printed it twice, saved it to the cloud, sent a copy to Naomi just in case anything happened to my phone or me. She texted back one word, burn him, and I would. But not with screams, not with tears, with paper, with facts, with dates and times and digital trails. Because men like Leo don't fear heartbreak, they fear receipts. And I had enough to bankrupt his ego for life. I don't remember what we were arguing about, something small, something stupid, probably dishes. It started in the kitchen like so many married fights do. Tense shoulders, short answers, forks clinking too loud. He was annoyed because I didn't want to go to his firm's holiday dinner. I was tired, had a deadline. He called me rigid, said I never made time for him anymore. I said, maybe I'm just done pretending you matter more than I do. And then he snapped. Not loud, not violent, just surgical. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, eyes flat, and said, you used to be fun. Now you're just dirty. I don't mean literally. I mean, you're over 30, and it shows. Silence. The kind of silence that doesn't ask for a reply, because it is the reply. I didn't cry. I just stood there. Let the words settle like ash. Dirty. Not old, not tired, not hurt, not even unwanted, just dirty, like something used, expired, less than. He walked away after that, grabbed his keys, mumbled something about needing air, the door slammed, and I put the kettle on, made tea, sat in the living room and watched the steam rise until it disappeared. People always imagine the moment of heartbreak as loud glass shattering, screaming fists clenched, but mine was quiet. Mine was him telling me who he really was, and me finally believing him. The next morning, he tried to act normal. Morning, babe. Coffee brewing, eggs sizzling. I looked at him like he was a stranger who'd broken into my home. He noticed what nothing I said, because I'd already said everything I needed to myself. That day, I opened a new email account, contacted a divorce lawyer, transferred my half of the savings to a protected account, bought a small lockbox, and made an appointment with a therapist not to fix the marriage, to fix the part of me that thought this was the best I could do. I didn't scream, I didn't curse, I didn't even ask why, because I already knew he wanted a fantasy. I had become reality, and reality has pores, wrinkles, boundaries. Reality says no sometimes. Reality doesn't giggle on cue. So he called it dirty, and I called it done. He left for work like it was any other day, kissed me on the cheek, grabbed his coffee, didn't notice the way I didn't look at him, didn't see how my body had already gone quiet. Dinner later, he asked. I nodded. Not because I planned to cook, but because I planned to be gone. I gave myself 4 hours. I didn't rush. I didn't blast music. I didn't cry. I just opened the closet and chose with precision 2 suitcases. 1 folder, 0 apologies. I didn't pack for drama. I packed for survival, 3 pairs of jeans, neutral sweaters, 1 bottle of perfume I hadn't worn in months because he said it was too grown up. That made me smile. I emptied the safe, grabbed my documents, my passport, my backup drive. I left the watch he gave me for our anniversary because I didn't need reminders of a time he never respected. I took the blender. It was mine before him, and I made better smoothies. I didn't tell Naomi I was leaving that day. She'd offered her guest room already, but I needed this moment to be mine. I left a note, not on the fridge, not next to the bed, on the mirror. Just 2 words I know. Before I walked out, I did one last thing. I laid the folder on his desk, neatly labeled, tabs highlighted, receipts in order. There was no letter, no explanation, no "you hurt me," just evidence. Because men like Leo don't believe you unless you show them. And even then they'll still pretend it's not their fault. But I wasn't leaving to make him understand. I was leaving so I didn't have to keep explaining myself to someone who never tried to listen. I locked the door, dropped the keys in the mailbox, and got into the rideshare Naomi had quietly sent without asking. She didn't say, "Are you okay?" She said, "You hungry?" I made soup, and I cried for the first time. Not because I missed him, but because someone asked me a question that didn't require me to be strong. That night, I slept on a twin mattress in her guest room. No silk sheets, no king-size bed, no man breathing next to me like I was air he could take for granted. Just quiet, just me, just enough. 3 days after I left, he texted, "Hey, can we talk? I'm back from Dallas. You left your red mug." He still thought I cared about mugs. The trip to Dallas was supposed to be a strategy conference. High-stakes meetings, fancy dinners, the kind of work event I used to plan my life around laundry meal prep, spacing out good wife smiles for his Instagram. I almost didn't check, but something told me to look one more time. His corporate card statement hit my inbox the next morning. I had access for emergencies. He never revoked it. The receipts read like a love letter to betrayal. 2 plane tickets to Miami, hotel suite ocean view couples spa package, dinner at a rooftop sushi bar, bottle of rosé labeled anniversary special. Anniversary. Our anniversary was in March. This was August. So unless he'd recycled a celebration for someone new, I scrolled further. A charge at a jewelry store. 1 item, not even wrapped. I clicked over to Emily's Instagram. There she was standing on a balcony ocean behind her fingers, brushing a delicate silver necklace. The caption, "He remembered my favorite stone. No one's ever listened that closely. I didn't get angry, I didn't scream. I just copied the image, pasted it into the folder, labeled it gifted during business trip, proof of fraud, because that necklace wasn't paid for from his personal funds. It was charged to his company, and I knew the HR contact. I made the call, not out of revenge, out of clarity. When Leo realized I was gone, he didn't panic. Not at first. He thought I was bluffing, that I was cooling off, that I'd call crying. He even sent me a meme. I left that on read. Then came the voicemail, his voice low and controlled like he'd practiced in the mirror. "I just want to understand what's happening. We were doing fine. You didn't say you were unhappy." That's the thing with men like him. They think silence equals consent, that if you don't cry, you're okay, that if you carry the weight, it must not be heavy. I deleted the message. The next day he emailed. Subject line, "Please come home." He attached a photo of us from 2 years ago. I was laughing. He looked proud. But here's what I remember from that day. He was late to that dinner. He'd forgotten my birthday the week before. I laughed because I didn't want to cry in front of his friends. He looked proud because he thought I'd never leave. I replied with 2 words, "Wrong email," and blocked him. You don't burn a woman to the ground and expect her to rise holding your hand. You don't take her time, her trust her body, then try to erase it with pictures of a life you killed. And you don't lie about a business trip when she's already built the audit. He still thought I was coming home. Even after a week of silence, even after blocked calls returned, packages, unread emails, he thought I just needed space. Men like Leo believe time heals everything because they've never had to clean the wound they caused. The morning I sent the papers, the sky was clear. I dressed in gray. No makeup, no perfume. I wanted to be invisible. I wanted the end to feel clinical. My lawyer, a woman named Claire with a voice like steel, handed me the final set of documents. "Are you sure you don't want to ask for alimony?" she asked. I shook my head. I don't want anything that ties me to him. She nodded once and slid over the file. I signed without hesitation. No trembling hands, no catch in my breath. It felt like checking a box, like deleting an app I no longer used. Naomi drove me to the house. We didn't speak. She just played soft jazz like she knew this wasn't a funeral. It was a release. Leo wasn't home. Of course he wasn't. He was probably at the gym or pretending to work or texting someone who still laughed at his mediocre jokes. I had the key. Let myself in. Everything looked the same. Coasters perfectly aligned. Couch pillows fluffed just the way I used to fix them. Like a stage set waiting for the actress to return. But I wasn't coming back. I walked into the bedroom and placed the envelope squarely on his pillow. No sticky note. No lipstick kiss. No explanation. Just wait. Just law. Just the end. Then I took one final look around the room, the one where I used to sleep, ache hope, and walked out without touching a thing. He called that night, from an unknown number. I picked up. Not because I missed him, because I wanted to hear it. His voice cracked. "You sent me papers, silence. You're not even going to talk to me first." More silence. "Rachel, come on, this is us. You don't just end us like this." That's the part that made me laugh, because that's exactly what I was doing. And I was doing it right. I didn't scream, didn't list the reasons, didn't ask if he still loved me. I simply said, "Check the folder I left, and don't call again. We're not us." You made sure of that. Then I hung up, blocked the new number, and exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. People talk about closure like it's a conversation, but for me, closure was paperwork on a pillow, a click, a breath, and nothing left to explain. I ran into her at the grocery store, of all places, not a fancy restaurant, not a party, just the frozen aisle at Whole Foods, her standing in front of oat milk, scrolling on her phone like her world was calm and clean. She didn't see me at first. She was humming. Wearing a cropped hoodie, I recognized Leo's favorite one, the navy blue with the tiny bleach stain near the cuff. The one I used to sleep in when he traveled. I didn't feel rage. I felt nothing. And maybe that's what scared her most. She noticed me just as I reached for a carton beside her. Her eyes went wide, then narrowed, then tried to smile. "Hey," she said, like we were friends who used to grab coffee after class. I didn't answer. She hesitated. "You look different." I looked her straight in the eye. That kind of eye contact women learn to master only after betrayal. The kind that says, "I survived everything you benefited from." She spoke again, defensive now. "If you're here to start something, I'm not doing this." I almost laughed. Start something, I'd already finished it. I reached into my tote and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Her face tightened. Relax, I said. It's not a restraining order. I handed it to her. She opened it. Inside a copy of the divorce decree. Stamped, finalized, irreversible. She looked up. I thought you should see what winning looks like, I said. She went pale. You're just bitter. No, I said. I'm free. You think he's going to come back to you? That made me laugh. Emily, I said gently, he never even fully arrived to begin with. She blinked. You think I don't know he loved you? I think you're the only one who still cares. I walked away. Not because I needed to prove something, but because I didn't owe her or him another ounce of reaction. She called after me. He told me you were cold, that you stopped caring. I turned once halfway down the aisle. He was right, I said. I just stopped caring about him. That night, Naomi and I drank wine in her kitchen. I told her the story. She smirked. Did you slap her? I shook my head. Didn't need to. Good, she said. Because honestly, you already took the only thing she wanted. What your silence? Some people win loudly. I won by walking away so quietly they're still straining to hear where I went. He showed up at Naomi's place 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized. I saw his car from the upstairs window, same one he used to drive me to dinner to the beach to the courthouse the day he swore we'd never need a prenup. Now it just looks small and out of place. Naomi was about to go outside. I stopped her. I'll go. She hesitated. You sure? I nodded. I want to hear what silence looks like. He was pacing when I stepped out, hands in pockets, hair a little messier than usual, like he thought dishevelment might make him look sincere. When he saw me, he froze. Rachel, he breathed. I just needed to see you. I waited. He stepped closer, stopped himself, stared down at his shoes. I don't know what to say. I raised an eyebrow. Then don't say anything. He flinched. He swallowed. I thought maybe we could talk. Maybe you'd understand that He trailed off. I waited again. Nothing. It's a strange thing watching the person who once knew every inch of you standing there speechless like a stranger caught shoplifting your heart. He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. I didn't mean for it to get that far. I tilted my head. You mean the cheating or the lying or the part where you used our money to fund someone else's fantasy? Silence. He tried again. I never stopped loving you. I smiled, slow and cold. Then you should have told the version of me you loved before you tried to replace her. He took a shaky breath. I thought I'd come here and say something that would matter. I looked him in the eye, and yet here we are. He looked down. I stepped back. You're not here to apologize, I said. You're here because you finally realize I'm gone. He blinked hard. You want me to say I'm sorry he asked, like it was a favor? No, I said. I want you to realize that even if you said it, it wouldn't be enough. He didn't speak after that. Didn't beg. Didn't chase. Just stood there, man, without a script, without a woman to lie to, without a life to return to. And I turned around and walked back inside. Naomi handed me a glass of water. He say anything useful? I shook my head. Couldn't even say the words. She smiled. Good. Let him choke on them. Some people think closure is about hearing I'm sorry, but sometimes closure is standing in front of the person who broke you and realizing they're the one who's still shattered. It's been 3 months since the papers were signed, long enough for the silence to stop echoing, long enough for my body to forget how to flinch at the sound of his name, long enough for peace to feel like a right, not a luxury. I live in a one-bedroom apartment now, not fancy, but full of things I chose: soft lighting, thrifted rugs, mismatched mugs, plants that don't ask for much but still grow toward the sun. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the window. There's no sadness in it anymore. Just a woman, not a wife, not a victim. Just me. I started taking long walks, alone, no headphones. I listened to my footsteps, to the wind, to the quiet hum of a world that finally stopped demanding I explain myself. I go to the farmer's market on Sundays, buy flowers for no one, and bread I eat by hand on the walk home, like I'm 10 again and free. People ask sometimes, "Do you miss him?" I don't. I miss the version of myself who thought love was about sacrifice, who thought silence meant strength, who believed that staying was a form of winning. But that girl is gone, and I don't miss her either. He tried to contact me last week. Blocked number. Voicemail empty except for a sigh. I didn't save it, because some men don't get the satisfaction of a final scene. Some stories don't need a sequel, just a clean ending and a door that closes without slamming. Naomi said something the other night. We were watching the sunset from her porch, wine in hand, legs kicked up like teenagers again. She said, "You know what your real revenge was? What, that you didn't burn down his life. You just made sure you weren't in it anymore." And she's right. Some women destroy their enemies with fury. I destroyed mine with distance, with dignity, with a name on a lease that only has mine, with a future no longer delayed by someone else's fear of growing older. I walk lighter now, not because the pain is gone, but because I'm no longer carrying his.